Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is the story of how McDonald's took over the world. The year was 1940 and brothers Richard and Maurice McDonald opened up a barbecue restaurant in San Bernardino, California. Their restaurant specialized in burgers, fries, and shakes. They were some of the first to introduce drive-through service. And by 1948, they were doing $350,000 per year, which adjusted for inflation would be $4 million. That's when the brothers decided that they had to expand. So they franchised their concept to a local entrepreneur named Neil Fox. But the arrangement didn't last long. The McDonald brothers wanted all their franchisees to operate under the name McDonald's. But Fox changed the name to Burger King because he felt that McDonald's sounded too much like a cheap fried chicken chain. In 1952, the brothers went to court and told Fox to change his name or else. So Fox refused to pay the $270,000 franchise fee and closed down. It's rumored that this inspired the brothers to take over the whole company themselves. Enter Ray Kroc. In 1954, a traveling milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc stumbled upon the McDonald's restaurant in San Bernardino. He immediately saw the potential of the business and asked the brothers if he could sell franchises. They agreed and gave him 1%. Of course, this meant nothing. And 2 years later, Ray visited them again, this time with an offer to buy the whole business. After some convincing, the brothers accepted an offer of $2.7 million for their 50% stake. Adjusted for inflation, that's worth $30 million. In 1955, Ray Kroc opened the first McDonald's franchise in Des Plaines, Illinois. Over the next 6 years, they grew from 1 restaurant to 16. But after a few years, it became obvious that they needed more capital to continue growing. So in 1961, McDonald's went public at $48 per share. Shares immediately doubled. This gave them enough money to open new restaurants and buy out franchisees. By the end of the decade, there were 550 McDonald's restaurants in the United States alone. But during the 1970s, things began to fall apart. Ray Kroc had always been a micromanager. He believed that the quality of the brand should come above profits. So he frequently butted heads with investors. Finally, in 1971, at the age of 62, Ray retired. He remained chairman of the board, but day-to-day operations were turned over to Fred Turner, who was one of Ray's top executives. Ray promised not to interfere as long as they kept him on the board. But just 3 years later, Ray bought back his shares and attempted a hostile takeover. His investors sued him for breach of contract, but he won. This led to a decade of infighting among shareholders, which really hurt the business. Meanwhile, competing fast food chains started catching up. During the late 1970s, McDonald's sales began to stagnate. But in 1984, a new CEO named Mike Quinlan turned things around. Under Mike's leadership, McDonald's became masters of marketing. Before long, they were the biggest kid-friendly restaurant in the world. But they wanted more. So in 1986, they acquired the Chicken McNugget Company. They also began advertising toys and promotions based off popular movies like E.T., the Extraterrestrial. If you remember the movie, E.T., the kids use Reese's Pieces to communicate with E.T. Well, Reese's Pieces sales exploded from $12 million in 1982 to $230 million by the end of the decade. By 1988, McDonald's had more than 7,000 restaurants worldwide. In 1990, the executive committee of the board selected Jack Greenberg as president and CEO. Under his leadership, McDonald's expanded into more countries than any other American chain. They grew particularly strong in Europe, where they currently have 7,300 restaurants. In the early 2000s, McDonald's expanded into real estate. They did this through 2 subsidiaries, McDonald's Real Estate Corporation and Freedman's Properties. These companies own most of the land and buildings that McDonald's restaurants are located on. This gives them incredible bargaining power over landlords and real estate developers. In 2018, they own nearly 90% of the land that their stores are built on, which equates to roughly 3,200 properties. The properties are held in a portfolio of triple net lease agreements. This means that the franchisee pays for all operating expenses, including property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. In total, McDonald's real estate portfolio is worth approximately $45 billion. So how does McDonald's decide what kind of return they want to make on these properties? Well, this is actually a very controversial topic. Some people say that they don't care about returns at all, and that they simply using the real estate to extract concessions from franchisees. Others argue that they demand a minimum return of 8%, which is about $365 million per year. But whatever the case, the fact is that they have incredible leverage over franchisees and landlords. Now, if you think that this might make McDonald's arrogant and greedy, then you'd probably be right. But it also makes them pretty smart. Let me explain. Because they own so much real estate, they can adapt to the changing trends of the future. As we know, the shopping mall has become obsolete. People simply don't go to malls as much anymore. So many major retailers, like Sears, J.C. Penney, and Radio Shack have gone bankrupt. But McDonald's saw this coming, so they adapted. They closed the majority of their mall locations and replaced them with drive-thrus. Today, 70% of new McDonald's are drive-thru only, and some estimate that 70% of their sales come from drive-thru customers. Now, this is important because millennials and Gen Z spend more money on drive-thru coffee than they do on alcohol. In fact, Starbucks has become so popular among young adults that they've earned the nickname Starbucks Lovers Anonymous. Another big trend we've seen in recent years is plant-based eating. Even though meat eaters vastly outnumber vegans, McDonald's knows that they need to stay relevant. So they've done something that they haven't done since the 1970s. They've rolled out a new menu item that doesn't contain beef, eggs, or dairy. It's called the McPlant, and so far it's only available in certain markets. But it's safe to say that we haven't seen the last of the McPlant. The next big trend is mobile payments. Nobody wants to carry around a wallet full of cash or even credit cards anymore. Apple Pay, Google Wallet, and Venmo are the preferred methods of payment. But McDonald's hasn't hopped on the digital bandwagon. You can't pay with your phone at a McDonald's. What you'll notice is that their registers have no scanners. Instead, employees type in the price manually. There's no way to know for sure, but some speculate that they do this on purpose to discourage digital payments. After all, they're still king of the cash register. Perhaps the greatest testament to McDonald's success is that even when they screw up, they still do well. In 2014, they introduced all-day breakfast, which gave customers the option to order breakfast items at any hour of the day. It seemed like a great idea, but it ended up being a disaster. Employees were confused about what to put on the menus. Orders were delayed, and the overall customer experience suffered. Despite this, same-store sales increased by 3.6% that year. Now, here's the bottom line. No matter what they do, whether it's good or bad, they win. They're able to attract customers even with mediocre food. And that's not because their food is bad, but rather because their marketing is so good. A lot of their appeal comes from nostalgia and childhood memories. It's the same reason why people will always want to visit Disney parks and why Nintendo will always release best-selling consoles. And that's why McDonald's is still standing strong after almost 100 years. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of their food, but I think they're a great company that deserves their success. Do you guys agree? Comment that down below. Also drop a like if you love McDonald's. And of course, consider joining our community to suggest future video ideas and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'll see you guys on the next one.